Two Clearwater, Florida police officers have been suspended for 2 days and removed from their specialty units because one of the officers shot the other one during an incident.
Crawler, check your fire. That's me to the south. Woody, you got that? All right, K2, I've been hit.
As a department, I think we made multiple errors in how we handled the situation. I think we could have done a much better job. We can't just indiscriminately empty a handgun into a building as if we're playing a video game.
On January 1st at around 7 p.m., two police officers with the Clearwater Police Department, Officer Jonathan Reed and Officer Langston Woody, arrived at this guy's house. It was 60-year-old James Wassman, and it was reported that he was firing gunshots in the backyard of his home. According to the article in the Tampa Bay Times, the officers set up a perimeter around the home, and upon arrival, Officer Woody did not check in with supervisors, and he positioned himself in a tree in the backyard of the home next door, swapping places with another officer. He did not tell dispatch or any of the supervisors where he was, according to documents provided by Internal Affairs. Officer Reed then jumped the fence and he went into the backyard of the house on the other side of Mr. Wassman's home. Another police officer communicated his location and Officer Reed's location over the radio, but Officer Reed did not update the supervisors on his location, again according to the Internal Affairs documents. But first, I want to thank Ground News for sponsoring this video. Every day we're bombarded with misleading and biased news, making it difficult to form a clear understanding of the world around us. Well, Ground News is here to help. The challenges of misinformation, media bias, and political polarization are real. Social media algorithms and clickbait content can manipulate our understanding of the world. It's essential to seek different perspectives and to engage in critical thinking to avoid getting trapped in our own echo chambers. Ground News is the world's first news comparison platform. It's a website and app that shows you how breaking news is being covered across the political spectrum, making it easy to swipe between headlines and discover which details are emphasized, exaggerated, or left out entirely. With Ground News, you can compare news coverage, spot media bias, check your blind spots, and understand your reading habits. You can customize your feed by choosing from over 150,000 topics, locations, and people to follow. Plus, you get global coverage of how international stories are being covered across the globe using the interactive map. So take advantage of the chance to stay informed and make informed decisions. Visit ground.news/TCRL to try Ground News for free or subscribe to access all features and support independent media, making the news more transparent.
Eagle 1117 bridge, please get over.
Can you guys give K5 a portable?
Eagle 122, at the moment we cannot fly. There's like fog out there. And guys, if we could keep this down, please. He's in the backyard, he's got a rifle, he's talking to us.
After this happened, the homeowner, James Wassman, ended up firing at the officers. Then, both Officer Reed and Officer Woody returned fire. Reed fired 18 rounds and Woody fired 6.
Hey, that's me in the south yard.
Officer Reed fired towards where he saw a muzzle flash, believing that direction to be Wassman's location. However, he did not see Wassman. He didn't actually see what he was shooting at, according to the documents.
Crawler, check your fire. That's me to the south. Woody, you got that? All right, K2, I've been hit.
We need room for one hall. Never.
Officer Woody told Internal Affairs that he saw a person in dark clothing holding a gun and believed he was firing at Wassman. However, one of Woody's bullets ended up hitting Reed's arm, and officers also found 4 projectile materials from Woody's rounds in a neighboring home. Reed was taken to the hospital and treated for his injuries.
Got movement in the house, by the windows, front of that door, single door.
K2, I've been hit. I'm going to be coming around the front of the house. Where's FD stage?
Where you at?
One house south of. I'm going to be coming around the back to Officer Omar, Woody, and Kralik. I'm going to be moving south. Just cover that rear for me again, okay?
I got you. I don't have great cover, so make it quick.
All right, I'm moving south. Yeah, I'm here.
Make sure everybody's behind cover. Can you give me a roll call?
Oh, I don't think it's bad.
Roll call.
Yeah, I'm great. We're good. Go ahead. Hey, you're good. You're good. Hold that. Hold that.
Here, both of these police officers ended up being disciplined by their employer not for shooting at the homeowner, but for shooting at each other accidentally because they both were wearing dark clothes, standing in the darkness, and shooting at something that they did not positively identify first.
They were fired at and that there was a deadly threat that they were exposed to. However, the manner in which they responded was not consistent with their training and their responsibility.
Officer Reed, on the other hand, feels that he did nothing wrong, and he went to the news media and telling him that it was just all about officer safety. It was justified to basically shoot up the whole neighborhood, send bullets flying everywhere, including into a neighboring house, including into one of his colleagues.
He believes he fired enough shots in the right direction to keep other officers safe and was following orders to get behind cover to the best of his ability.
But do you think your actions that day deserve the punishment that you got?
No. And I never saw this coming.
Never saw this coming. I mean, you literally shot each other and shot the neighboring house. And I don't believe they even hit the guy. I mean, how would you not see this coming? Only a government employee would feel that he had done nothing wrong and deserved no accountability whatsoever, no discipline, not even a 2-day suspension. But the crazy thing is it's not even that has this guy upset. It's that they took away his dog. He took away his weaponized pet.
It's not the suspension Reed cares about. It's his dog, Mando. Reed says Mando took on a kind of therapeutic role.
So him being removed was kind of the worst punishment I could have received from this. He took on a much larger role. He was my support. He was therapy to me. He was family. So it was a very hard thing to lose.
Wait a minute. I mean, why did this police officer have a canine that is his official duty canine that serves some other role as a therapy dog for him? Perhaps he's talking about after I think this is the guy who was shot. So after he was shot by his partner, he needed this therapy dog. And if that's the case, then why is he having therapy with this dog that he's taking around and potentially sicking on people and having bite people? I mean, maybe Internal Affairs needs to take another look at this. This guy's all upset that they took his dog away. But like, wait a minute, therapy for what? In the end, the homeowner, James Wassman, is facing charges, not surprisingly, of attempted second-degree murder on a law enforcement officer, aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, and discharging a firearm in public. In an interview with the Tampa Bay Times, this guy, Officer Reed, said that he wasn't surprised about his 2-day suspension, but he was just upset at the removal of his canine unit. He said, "I knew there were things that probably could have been done better that night all around for many different people on the team." Talk about an understatement. I knew there were things that probably could have been done better. I mean, all right, a guy shot at him, just setting those facts aside about whether that should have even happened in the first place or whether it did happen or whether it was justified, just setting that aside. He shot at you, and it doesn't appear that they effectively shot him. They just shot each other. I mean, what do you mean things probably could have been better that night all around? Yeah, like no shit. And this is actually a really big problem, in my opinion. We see so many tragic cases happen sort of like this, where police officers just show up to some sort of gun call at a guy's house. They don't really even know who the guy is or what the specifics are. They don't have any information necessarily that anyone's in imminent danger. They just sort of rush up to the scene in silence, no blue lights going, officer safety reasons, of course. But usually that ends up hurting the homeowner because they walk outside to see, whether there's a prowler out there, what the noise is, and they end up getting shot by the police. Here, and I think it has happened before in other recent incidents, where the police officers just end up shooting each other in crossfire or friendly fire because they're acting with incompetence. In the end, however, there really can be no doubt that if police officers show up on a scene somewhere and they encounter somebody with a gun, then they're likely going to be justified in using deadly force against that individual. The more interesting scenarios are the opposite, is when the homeowner is justified in using deadly force against government officials who are coming onto his property, for instance, without a warrant, or other exigent circumstances or consent that could justify their presence in the first place. But here, I think the takeaway is that you should never underestimate the incompetence of your government officials. Not only will they shoot you, but they will shoot each other in the process. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoy looking at these sorts of scenarios and going through constitutional law and looking at issues of police misconduct in general, please subscribe, not just here, but also on the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. Also, check out my 2 recent videos that I did with the Institute for Justice lawyers. Those were very well received, and I've already heard that there was a huge wave of donations that came in as a result of those videos, and the Institute for Justice was really happy with that, and I'm really happy with that. I want to, again, urge you, I'll put the donation link in the description, to, if you care about these issues and you want to do something, if you're able to financially help, donate to the Institute for Justice. And if you don't believe me that this would help, go to their website at ij.org and take a look at the cases that they're working on right now and all the wonderful work that they do. Remember, freedom is scary. Deal with it.